Hello everybody, we're in Catalonia, Spain, just north of Barcelona. Granollers is a city with a long history. The Posada, the grain store in the town square, is 430 years old. There's been archaeological artifacts discovered around here that go all the way back to 2000 BC. It's now a business town, and just on its outskirts is the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya, which is why we're here, of course. Welcome to the Hankook 24 Hours of Barcelona.
We are in the region of Grenoble, so it's it's a beautiful thing. The beach is over there. We are here in the Circuit Barcelona. It's a wonderful atmosphere over here. I think it's the fifth time that we do this together with our Spanish friends. So it's really exciting. If you look at the grid, I think this will be one of the most competitive races of the year for the TCE series. So we look forward to the start.
The 24-hour race here has great history too. And since it became part of the Creventic organised 24-hour series, it's gone from strength to strength. For 2017, it goes back to its roots, with touring cars as the top class. The entry is impressive, and it's not just series regulars on the grid. There are some first-time teams too, like Barcelona's NM Racing team.
The car is super ready. All the team is ready, drivers, mechanics, engineers. So we are ready for the 24 hours. We're starting from the pole position. This is really nice for us. It's our first participation like a team in 24 hours race. We are the youngest team of the grid. It's only a matter of enjoy the driving and enjoy the car without breaking it.
Every track is different, so free practice is used to get used to the circuit and set the car up for qualifying.
Yeah, we had a little bit of homework to do during the free practice, so just running through brakes and bedding the brakes in, bedding tyres in, and checking the setup on the car. And then qualifying was good.
It's a long race, so for most teams, qualifying is really just to set the time and not to go for that last 1,000th of a second.
Sebas, at the qualification, we knew we could go a bit faster, but you know, it's a long race, 24 hours. We didn't want to use too many sets of tires, so we did only 2 runs and said enough is enough. But in principle, when you add the times, the quickest time, section times, we could have gone a little bit faster. Maybe be one more place in the grid up front. But it was an okay qualification.
And if you can't make the speed you expected, still work on the car to get it fixed.
We looked at the data and we could see we got low fuel pressure. Well, that's what we thought the problem was. Changed the fuel pump, changed the regulator, made a bit of a difference, but not much. We then asked SEAT if they could come in and look at the data and analyse it, and they said there was a strange issue with it. They then found faulty wire, which was fine, and they fixed that. We went out, tested it, it was a little bit better, but there was also a mod that should have been done on the car, but unfortunately somebody had removed our fuse box, so they came back between qualifying and night practice, traced the wires, found the wire they needed to break, did that, we took the car out, totally different machine. It's like a bullet now, unbelievable, completely different car.
And even shortly before the race starts, teams are still doing their best to make the cut.
Yes, it's a few kilos less, so I go faster.
It seems the mechanics just can't keep their hands off their cars.
Yeah, they can't help themselves. They like polishing and it's kind of normal stuff. They just check in over the car. No issues, no problems. We're just making sure everything is as good as it should be.
Yeah, just some small adjustments, like to be sure that nothing falls off, and sometimes you find out something like in the morning, and it's really small things we are doing right now, so it's all okay.
We did one little change, last minute change, one little setup thing of the roll bar, only to stay with the tires longer. We are going to try to do 2 things with 1 set of tires. So we are doing this last mini change that engineers say should be good.
The race is about to start. The green flag is waved. What can we expect?
No, it's going to be another 24-hour race that's going to be very hard. It's going to be very hot. The humidity is up a little bit today, so looking after driver, conditioning is going to be a big problem. Keeping yourself cool in the car and hydrated in the car is going to be a big issue. So we will try and be as consistent as we possibly can through our whole stint, and our goal is to try and to be as fast at the end of the stint as we are at the beginning.
You know, setting the quickest time is not important here. Saving the tires, but again, like I said, we have 4 very good drivers. We won on Silverstone, so we know how to play the game, and I think we have a good chance if the car doesn't break down to fight for the overall place.
We're starting from the pole, but we know that this doesn't mean that we will win. For sure, we are one of the keys of the race. We are one of the cars that we can win. We can be in the podium, but we have to fight for it really hard. It's a really long race. Everything can happen.
The experienced drivers know real racing doesn't start right now.
Honestly, the race starts, I think, when the sun comes up, or maybe a little few hours before. Up until then, it just gets to that point. There's so many cars who could win this, and there's so many mistakes that can happen out there. Though it's not going to be a weather issue, it's probably just going to be a driver issue, and see who can survive through the night, keeping up the pace. I feel it's going to be almost like a 24-hour sprint race. So it's whoever survives, and I think after 18 to 20 hours, we're going to see who's actually got a chance of winning this, and it's all going to come together the last 4 to 6 hours.
And with everything to play for, there are a lot of contenders for overall victory.
At least from the front to, I think, two-thirds of the grid, all those cars are competitive. So it's impossible to make a good guess of the winner. We have the TCR cars and the SP3, so I think there are at least 20-25 cars which are competitive with each other. So I expect a really, really big battle.
The lights are off and the Hankook 24 Hours of Barcelona has started. All the cars come over the hill towards the first corner, except the 99 Honda of RKC TGM. That car sadly still in the garage after being pushed back from the starting grid. A hectic first corner, and one of the cars that comes out worse for wear is the 303 of Red Camel Racing. Driver Rick Breukers obviously not happy.
Turn 1, the 2 Ginettas were fighting, and they both had to brake. I was close behind them, there was no way I could avoid them. I had a small touch in the back from them, yeah, from that on we had a small issue.
According to Colin White, the Ginettas weren't in a fight at all.
We talked to the drivers before we started, and the Ginetta driver in front was new at this series, and so he was very worried about the start and said he would leave some room, and you know, he didn't want to push too hard. But some of the other cars around me thought they could get through a lot quicker, and it all got a bit messy on turn 2.
Then contact with the 215 Ginetta.
Coming to turn 5, the Ginetta slowed up, and the one on the left hand behind me didn't see it. I slowed up, he pushed me on into the back of the other. I hit the brakes, skidded, tried to miss him, but caught the rear of his car and the front headlamp of my car.
2 cars with major damage on the first lap of the race. The 303 is first to come in. As the car is lifted, it's clear that the front tyre is still on the ground. That's a sign of a broken shock absorber. The 178 CWS Ginetta also in the pit lane for quick repair. The team turned the car around within 7 minutes, whereas the 303 Red Camel Seat team needed 16 minutes to replace the shock absorber. And even in this long of a race, it will be hard to make up that time lost.
Well, with 20 TCRs, it's a very strong field, so 16 minutes is very, very, it is a lot. We will still push and we will see. We don't know what we can do.
So after a hectic first lap and the resulting repairs, it's Stuart Hall in the 237 Aston Martin from Stratton Motorsport that has the lead. Stuart started from 10th, but has managed to claw his way into first position. The Honda Civic 124 of Insight Racing Denmark was having a good race, starting from 17th, but had reached 9th within the first hour. But then it's into the garage.
5 laps before I had to go into the pits, we felt a little vibration. I called over the radio to see if they could see if the splitter has gone loose down the straightaway. And the mechanics reported to me that everything looked fine, and it kind of progressed, and sadly a rear wheel bearing exploded.
The team doesn't have the part, but does have a solution.
Luckily, there is a Honda dealership in every single city around the globe, so my mechanics are at Honda Europe in Barcelona trying to fix the things.
After hitting the gravel, the 109 Speed Factory Audi is on the end of a tow rope. After 7 minutes, the car is back in the race. The 99 Honda of Team RKC TGM still hasn't started.
I think it's the steering wheel loom, so between the car and the steering wheel. So we're currently pulling that apart, checking the wires, seeing which one it is, and hopefully we can be out soon. You can do Thursday, Friday without any problems, and then you go to pull out to start the race and you have an issue. So, if it takes a few hours, then we may still go out and carry on round, see what happens.
During the 24-hour race, teams plan their fuel stops carefully, or they suffer from getting it wrong.
We had a problem with the dashboard of the car. It told us we had 6 liters of fuel, but there wasn't. And then I ran out of fuel, and we lost a lot of time at this moment.
A massive change on the leaderboard. The Aston Martin number 237 was firmly in the lead, but an electrical problem has seen several unscheduled pit stops, and now the Vantage is right at the back of the field. Almost 3 hours of racing are completed, and there's problems for other cars too. The 205 Vortex of GC Automobile have an issue with their master switch. That stops them out on track. Most cars, of course, still in the race, so let's see how they stand. After a hard-fought 3 hours of racing, the top 8 are still on the same lap. The next 6 cars just 1 lap further behind. The number 100 Seat from Team Bleekemolen have a 10-second lead over Bonk Motorsport and their Audi in second. Bas Couten's number 175 is 12 seconds away in third. The SP3 GT4 top 3 have all completed 84 laps. The NM Racing Ginetta number 215 leads, EST1 Racing Porsche in second, and the BMW M3 of Red Ant Racing third. In A2, Risi Racing Team BMW number 194 leads, the Spirit Racing Renault Clio second, and a lap further back in third, Winkler Tuning 167. Exceptional racing so far, and we've barely scratched the surface. This is the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, with 27 years of Formula 1 history, plus MotoGP on its CV. It's also an important track on the calendar for the 24-hour series.
We are in the surroundings of Barcelona, Vallès Oriental region, which is a metropolitan region from Barcelona. As I said, it's 20 minutes from Barcelona, 20 minutes from Barcelona Airport. But the region is where in the past big companies of motorsports were located, like Derby Motorsport Factory. So a lot of fans, a lot of knowledge and organizations, a lot of passionate living here. So it's a great opportunity to have the circuit, the track located here.
This is a track that is loved by many drivers.
It's my favorite track. It's the first track I ever drove in a 24-hour race in a Clio. It's one of the best tracks in the world for this kind of car. I love it. It's a true driver's track. You understand why Formula 1 drivers love it, and touring car drivers love it, and GT drivers love it. It's one of the best tracks in the world.
I have been here once before, so I think the track is very nice, not too demanding either. So a lot of fast corners as well. Some places that you have to be careful not to be using the tires too aggressively, but nice track.
We are racing with a really good tire brand. Hankook is an amazing tire brand. The tires are really consistent, really nice. So we are really happy about that. The track is really gloomy, but I like it because it's more difficult.
The racing continues on this hot Catalonian afternoon. We're still waiting for the return of the 124 Honda of Insight Racing. When we left them, they were getting parts from a local Honda dealer. So what's the current situation?
The Spanish people have something called siesta, and that means that that department, the spare parts department, doesn't open till 5.
So as it's just after 3 o'clock now, the Danish team will just have to wait a little longer. Not been a trouble-free race for the 446. It stopped on track again.
We have a problem when we drive. The RPM doesn't go high, and we have no power. I think one sensor or something, or the fuel pump. We fix the problem, then we go again on the track.
The 167 Winkler Tuning BMW comes back to their team on a flatbed.
My driver before, he touched another car, but everything was alright. He continued driving. and then in one curve, suddenly I lost the traction. And first I thought it's a flat tire, but then the security guard showed me that the rear right wheel is not straight. So I knew probably the X is broken. So I knew it was finished there. So they pulled me back here in the pit lane.
Whilst the battles on the track might not be quite as fierce as on the first lap, it's still competitive. The pit lane is now all but blocked. The 981 Porsche of EST Racing at the side of the track on the pit lane exit, whilst at the entry, the 251 Speed Lover Porsche is blocking the way after being pulled in.
It is because we have some kind of electronic problem in terms of fuel gear, so I'm not quite sure what it is. But something related to the electronics, that's all I can say. But they'll figure it out, they're good at that, yeah.
And finally, here's the last car to start the race, the 99 Honda.
Took quite a while to get the problem resolved. I think and eventually we got out about 4:30, give or take, so that's a good 4.5 hours late. But I think the team just wanted to persevere, get the problem resolved and get us out and doing some laps. It was still nice and warm out there, but the car was suffering a little bit with over temperature, so we were just managing that during the stint, just trying to keep some nice consistent times, using it more like a test session than a race now.
The car that did start the race but had to come in after the second corner incident, the 303 Seat. They're trying to crawl back up the leaderboard, but they're crawling out on track too.
And we just pushed the limits to the fuel because we had to take every chance and every opportunity to make up time. And we miscalculated by about 400 meters. So I ran out of fuel at turn 12, put it in neutral, got to the top of the hill and then rolled all the way down to the fuel pumps. So yeah, we were lucky. 500 meters, another 100 meters away, I wouldn't have got to the fuel pumps. So yeah, we cut it pretty fine.
As the race heads towards the 7th hour, some teams are still having a perfect race. Others have had more mishaps to deal with. Some of those are a result of driver error. Others have had technical problems. The 157 team has had more than their fair share.
Something in the steering column broke off. So yeah, I had almost no steering and the steering blocked at certain points. It was really hard to keep the car on track. And also with this, the servo system also broke down. So we had two problems in one. And they had took some time to fix it. And then when one of my teammates left, we had also a cardan that broke off after 30 minutes. So I think in total we were in the pit box for 2.5 hours already, and it's a little bit too much to be in front of the race.
Let's see how the teams who have had no bad luck are getting on. It's a great run so far for the new leader, the NKKP Seat of Bas Kutten, as they started in 20th. In second is the highest placed SP3 GT4 entry, the NM Racing Ginetta. Tim Bleekemolen, who led earlier, are now in third, but there's only 20 seconds between them and the race leader. In Cup 1, the duo racing drivers have had a good run up until now, whilst QSR Racing Skill number 154 have had problems and are already 51 laps behind. In the A3 class, the 99 Honda has finally completed some laps. It's chasing down a top three that sees Synchro 176 in first, the 177 of Autosport de Jong in second, and the 128 of Multi in third. We're just off the Catalonian coastline for the Hankook 24 Hours of Barcelona. And shortly, drivers will transition from racing in daylight conditions to night racing.
That's why we are really happy to be here at Barcelona. It's hard to get a track to drive 24 hours, but Barcelona we can do it, Dubai we can do it, and yeah, that's one of the attractive things of Circuito Barcelona.
Yeah, I mean, night driving is always something special. Obviously, the braking points, everything, you need to work with them. Always the traffic is more dangerous in the night time, so yeah, have to keep on focusing and stay out of the trouble and do the best out of it.
You have to know the braking points. You cannot see so much, but I think here in Barcelona there are a lot of lights out of the track, so it seems to be a little bit like daylight to night.
It is new because we have just done two races, two 24-hour races, but it's really good illuminated, this track. Yesterday we tried it and it's really good, so we hope it's good at night.
Racing at night is different, and not just because of the darkness.
The time is different. Time is passing a different way.
less people also in the pits. So, well, sometimes we feel alone in the dark, but with other cars, and it's very nice.
It's been a bit of a soap opera so far for the Insight Racing Honda. Remember, they were waiting for the local dealer to open after the siesta. But, much to the dismay of the team and the Honda Sport representative, when the doors opened again, they still couldn't be supplied the part due to a holiday. So the 124 is out. The 168 Renault Clio has stopped at the second corner and brings out double yellow flags. They've already had brake and gearbox problems.
I had problems with the steering wheel. One wheel broke, and when I wanted to go to the left, to the right, one wheel was that way and the other went straight ahead. So I had a problem. I lost half an hour, I think.
There were nearly 5 hours of the race completed before the 99 Honda got onto the track, but the drivers of the RKC TCM team seem to love it now that they're out there.
It's a lovely car, especially to drive as well. Really good handling and really quick in a straight line. For example, for an A3 car, the TCR cars are struggling to get past us down the straights.
But unusual smoke forces the car to come into the pits.
We think head gasket maybe. It's something we sort of anticipated, I think. The car's been running really hot on temperature for a long time, so I think it's not unexpected, to be honest.
As the sun sets over the Spanish landscape, the Hankook 24 Hours of Barcelona continues into the night. This could be a problem for the Ginetta number 178, as it's still missing all the lights on the right-hand side after that first lap incident. The team has been working on a creative custom fix.
We knew we had a headlamp missing on part of the car, so we took photographs of it when it was in the fuel station so we could see what we needed to repair it. And then we used the front corner section of the car, a spare part, modified it so it makes it an easy fit. And then when the car came in, we was able to cut off all the old rubbish what was on there and then slip on the new one and rivet it in place and cable tie it. That's everybody cheered when they turned the lights on. It's a magic moment.
It's running well now for the 251 Porsche Cayman, but a catalytic converter blockage cost 2.5 hours on multiple visits to the pits.
And the reason is because I'm not used to running a Cayman. So we're used to running Porsche Cup cars, and you never have that problem. Apparently you have to replace the catalyst more in a Cayman than on a Cup car. And yeah, we could have put 2 new catalysts before the race, that would have been better. But I didn't know that, so it's a little bit my mistake.
Meantime, it's getting dark, really dark. This Barcelona track has a lot of high curbs. Veering off it can cause damage.
There was a slower colleague on the track, so I passed him, and then I had to brake for turn 10. I have gone a little bit wide, and you have a very high kind of curb over there. And my car is too low or the curb is too high, I don't know, but our cooling radiator is broken. So I was having higher temperature, so I had to come in, and we now have to repair.
So trying to gain a few tenths has led to 48 minutes lost. A very angry message from the race director is on the screens, directed to Team Speedlover. It goes back to the start of the race.
Jose was in the car, and he took a very good start, but apparently he overtook before the line. So we had a 10-second penalty, but it didn't matter. He just looked at the green light and he passed some cars, so that was the penalty. So the car came in, we had some electronic issues, and then I forgot about the penalty. So my penalty was doubled. And then the race director came and said, I have to serve the penalty. But at that moment, the car was in the pit box. And then we went out, he went very mad. The race director said, now you're going to serve the penalty. So that's the reason why we took it so late.
When a car needs repairs, it costs time on track. Team SICL have a diff problem, but have decided to stay out.
We can fix it, we've got a spare pump, but it will take over 2 hours. There's no point. So the wheels are spinning in the corners, so we're having to drive around that and manage it.
Racing is much better with 4 wheels and a gear lever.
Well, coming on the straight, changed gears, and all of a sudden it cracked and the power shift broke. So we were able to go to the end of the straight, and then we were pushed back.
In last year's race, the GT3 cars were quickest, but they're not here this weekend, so the TCR class should be the quickest cars out there. Local team Baporo KH7 was last year's runner-up in the TCR class, and as we approach midnight, that number 7 is the overall leader.
We are half through the race at 12 o'clock at midnight. So a lot of things happened, and still 12 hours to go, so a lot of things will happen. But I can already inform you, you have just already 24 different leading cars from 10 different teams. So this is even more exciting and more competitive as I could imagine. So a really great race so far.
So at midnight, the Baporo KH7 team showing their worth on their home track. Another local entry, NM Racing from Barcelona, with their number 215 Ginetta still in second. The Dutch team Blake & Molen in third, with the number 100 Seat. Further down the TCR class, but still on the lead lap, third place is held by another local team, Monlau. 2 laps further back, 3 Bas Koeten entries. The 155 in fourth, the 175 in fifth, and the earlier race leader, the 125, now in 6th. There are bigger gaps in the A2 class, with Resi Racing Team 193 BMW leading, 28 laps further back the Aldous Clio, and another 2 laps further back in 3rd, the Spirit number 168. It's the middle of the night for the Hankook Barcelona 24 hours, half the race still to come. We're past halfway and there's plenty of fights on track for position still going on. The most important items on any race car are underneath it. Hankook tyres provide superb grip required to take every corner. But even the Hankooks can't defy the laws of physics, and brakes are needed to slow the cars down. For some cars, the brakes have been under more stress than the teams expected.
We were actually thinking perhaps we don't have to, because it doesn't look like a track that's so hard on brakes. But yeah, really for the last hour and a half, we've had a very soft pedal, and we knew that we had to change the brakes. So with the driver change, we decided may as well do that straight away too.
On this circuit, because of the straight line, heavy braking, the other straight line, heavy braking also, plus a lot of brakings everywhere, before the main straight line also, at the chicane. So yes, they suffer a lot.
But not everyone's suffering from brake wear.
We haven't had anything issues from the brakes till now, but the tires for sure, they suffer a lot. I did 2 hours now on a fresh pair of tires, and in the end they're almost finished. So it's kind of, you have to decide to try to do 2 stints on it, and have the chance that you have a lot of less grip in the second stint, or change them every time and lose some time. Well, for us at this moment it's not that important anymore. We are not really in the running for a podium spot, but yeah, it's something you have to decide what you will choose.
More than 50% of the race is completed, but no position is yet safe. Modena Motorsports chasing the race leader, the number 7 Seat, which is currently 3 laps ahead. The number 167 BMW has come to a stop on the main straight. A steady stream of cars rushed by Michael Winkler, making it impossible to execute a safe recovery, so a code 60 has been deployed. So what was it that brought the car to a halt?
I went into the last corner and suddenly the rear axle broke down. We had the same problem on the other side yesterday in the afternoon. And yeah, but the team is doing a very great job, and I think we can fix it and go on the track again.
And why was he working on the car as well?
I'm not only the driver, I'm also the mechanic of the team.
The 226 Peugeot of Team Semspeed has been in the garage since 10:30 last night. Now comes out to rejoin the race.
2 hours ago, the car was running very hard and very fast, and unfortunately we had the front upright broken, which again destroyed the drive shaft. So we had to come back into the pit for a long repair, because it was not an easy fix. It took a long while in order to solve the problem, and now the car has gone out again, and we asked the driver to make a few laps in order to come back, in order to see if everything is fine or not. So it seems to be the case now.
Jean-Marc Littmann has completed his 2-hour stint in the 303 Seat. When he was behind the wheel, there were 2 code 60s, which the team used to fill up the car with more fuel. But it didn't make his driving easier.
It's just carrying the extra weight. Basically, when you go out with 100 kilos of fuel, a little bit more, on new tyres it's okay. But then when you come in after 30 minutes, your tyres aren't very new, and you put another fill way up to the top, so another 100 kilos in your car, that starts harder, it becomes harder, and then you do it again. 15 minutes later, it's a lot of weight to carry around in the car, and it's a lot more pressure, it's a lot more harder to accelerate. It doesn't make my life any easier, but it makes the team's life easier because we can go longer.
Meanwhile, Tom Boonen couldn't go longer in his stint.
Something in the steering column broke off. So yeah, I had almost no steering, and the steering blocked at certain points. It was really hard to keep the car on track. And also with this, the servo system also broke down, so we had two problems in one. And they had took some time to fix it. And then when one of my teammates left, we had also a cardan that broke off after 30 minutes. So I think in total we were in the pit box for 2.5 hours already, and it's a little bit too much to be in front of the race.
It's not only the 2005 World Champion bike racer that's in the pit lane. The night seems to have been cruel to a number of cars, including the 216 Seat Leon of Team Modena.
So I was coming out of the corner, I suddenly lost drive. So I just a bit lucky because towards the back sections I was able to coast all the way back into the pits. Otherwise it would have been a much longer stop. And so far what they discovered is a broken wishbone in the drive shaft.
The 125 NKPP Racing Seat had a collision with an Audi during the night, which resulted in damage, making it difficult to change the driver during the pit stop. Brute force is exerted to achieve the driver change, perhaps to the dismay of the team sponsors, and some percussive engineering required to prevent further damage. Johan van Loo is in the pits.
I probably would think the turbo is broken, so we need to change it. And we first thought it was a few other things, but we tried everything, and the only things left now is the turbo, so that's the only thing that still can be damaged.
On board the 107 Seat from Barcelona-based Monlau Competition, they're chasing down the number 7 of Baporo KH7, another local team, and that's the battle for second position overall. Through the first corner after the main straight, the number 7 goes wide and crashes into the barriers. As the car has been returned to the pit crew, we see the extent of the damage. It may look like the team is packing up, but behind closed doors, the crew has started to make repairs. We've bid goodbye to a number of cars during the night, including the SemSpeed 226 Peugeot.
We had just a problem here of reliability that we did not expect to have, as we did not have this problem in Misano. So, but 24-hour race is very tough for the mechanics, and it's a huge learning curve that we have to go through in order to make in a good condition a 24-hour race.
Day breaks around the corner. Let's have a look at the standings. With 3/4 of the race completed, the number 100 Seat of Team Blake and Molen are back on top. Second is the 107 Seat of local team Monlau Competition. The Ginetta 215 of the other local team NM Racing is in third. Don't write the headlines yet, as the top 3 are still on the lead lap. In SP3 GT4, NM Racing hold the Spanish flag high with a 6-lap lead over the second Ginetta from CWS Racing. The 981 Porsche Cayman is 12 laps further down in third. In Cup 1, Duo Racing from Luxembourg, last year's series winners, have an 88-lap lead over the QSR Racing School entry number 154 in second. As well as timing and scoring, the information screens are also used to send messages to teams. Right now there's a request about a yellow form, but what is the yellow form?
This is a control card. The drivers have to drive maximum 2 hours, and there is a specific order and rest times. So it's a kind of administration to make sure that all the teams are applied to this to the regulations, and those forms are controlled by the clerk of the course.
Maybe if a driver's gone over his time, so then they want to see the evidence of when you booked him in and booked him out, and then you can prove one way or another. But actually they can do that from the timing screen.
The default way to determine the driver of the car at any given time is by using the onboard switch. The driver needs to select their number as soon as they take the wheel.
For many reasons, we would like to, it's necessary to know which drivers in the car. And if you are 5 drivers, you have 5 switches, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So every driver name is related to a number, and then with the switch you can see, okay, my name is Gary, I'm number 3, I put the switch on 3, so everybody knows, and you can, even the spectators can see Gary is in the car.
Yeah, but they still make you keep a manual record.
This is an extra administration because there can be technical problems with this, and this is kind of security.
6 hours to go, and it's the number 100 Seat from Blake & Molan team who has about a minute's lead. And this is a team that knows how to win in this series.
We won one race in Silverstone and one other race in Dubai. We had a problem with the engine, but yeah, we are always at the front, and in this series is so nice because so competitive, special this weekend. You see everybody's close together, the same lap times. Still now after 18 hours, we are so close together with the times.
Slowly, from the dark of night, light is appearing.
Yeah, well, it was dark. It was first shades of light just appearing, but then of course the sun comes up and makes parts of the circuit quite interesting to drive with the sun in your eyes. It's fabulous. It's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I mean it's probably the best stint, and of course it's a bit of luck that you get it. We don't really plan it that way. It just happened to be my turn. But yeah, I've done that stint a couple of times, and it's just a lovely thing to see.
Getting used to the light in your eyes doesn't seem to be hard for the drivers.
For me, it comes automatically, but it's a nice feeling if you feel that you're each corner and each lap that you're going faster and faster and faster.
But shortly after, the yellow flags are out as Jens ended up in the gravel.
TCR that was in front of me, the Audi, I guess. I outbraked him, but he missed his apex and his car went spinning. And he had no control in the car, and I was in my apex, but he came in front of me. So I had two choices: or I hit the Audi right in his door, or I hit the gravel. So I took the gravel because then normally you have the least damage.
The 205 Vortex has twice already lost a front wheel.
I have a bad feeling with the car, and at the end of the straight line, my front wheel overtake me. And it was just amazing. I have to got to the pits with only 3 wheels, and it was pretty interesting for the feeling of the car. We fixed one time, but we got a second time the same problem. That's why we have to stop.
But there's good news for the 252 sister car, which couldn't return to racing after sustaining a badly cracked windscreen, as the 205 intact screen has been donated.
They wait for 3 or 4 hours, and unfortunately they break the windshield, and they have to change it because you can drive with this windshield where it's braked.
Yellow flags at the end of the main straight for the number 178 car, which is stopped, and the CWS team don't know what the problem is.
We don't know it right now. We think it's maybe the battery, but yeah, I'll wait to see it for the car.
As the CWS Racing Ginetta G55 is being recovered, let's take a look at the standings at 9 o'clock in the morning. In the last 3 hours, third and second have swapped positions, which leaves Monlau Competition now in third in the 107, with the NM Racing number 215 Ginetta back to second, but still leading the 100 Seat of Team Blake & Molan, and the top 3 still on the same lap. In A3, Synchro Motorsport lead by 18 laps, Multi-Competition secure in second with the 128 Seat, third, 132 laps further down, the 177 BMW of Autosport de Jong. In SP3 GT4 215, NM Racing Team's Ginetta is increasing their lead, whilst the 178 of CWS is being recovered. The EST1 Porsche 981 now only 6 laps behind the CWS car. There's still no time to rest for the remaining cars, with 3 hours still before we see the checkered flag. Audi, Renault, Ginetta, BMW, Porsche, Honda, Aston Martin, and quite a few Seats. The 24-hour touring car endurance series powered by Hankook has a wide variety of manufacturers. The teams are rightly proud of their racing cars.
It's a splendid car to drive. It's very easy, and you can, I think it was worth top 10, certainly, and a podium in the class.
It's a nice car. I think it's not a big difference from Seat or from Golf TCR car. So I think this is the way for gentlemen to enjoy, because the car is easy to drive. So of course discipline need to be on the track.
The car is within its limits, not too bad. Yeah, I would like to have a bigger engine, or maybe a twin turbo.
Fantastic, handling is very good. I think it goes from a little bit oversteer to a bit understeer as the tire wear. So I think we have the setup fairly accurate right on.
So it's an Aston Martin GT4 based on the Vantage. It's a V8. It's a great endurance car. It's probably a bit heavy for some of the sharper bits of this circuit, but it's got a lot of power, so it's very quick in a straight line. But as soon as you get any difficulties with pickup on tyres or whatever, it's a heavy car, you shouldn't feel it moving sideways and not forwards.
The car is very nice to drive. It's really great to have a competitive field. The car is a real race car and feels everything. Everything you do is very straight feedback. So it's great to drive the car, but it just has to be a little bit more reliable.
Wise words from the team who parked their car over 6 hours ago. Still 3 hours of racing to go. Let's check in with the 178 of CWS. We can now ask the driver what happened to stop the car at the 21-hour mark.
So the problem happened here on the straight. The engine doesn't work. I can push the throttle, but nothing works. They put me to the box and they solved the problem, but I don't know exactly really what it was. I'm not a technical.
Fortunately, there are people around who are technicians. They reset the car, it returned to the track and kept its second place in class. Problems for Bernd Redant and his gold BMW.
Well, my suspension left rear broke in the last corner. And there was somebody behind me, 1 or 2 meters, and when it broke, he gave me a little push, and so I went off the track, and I tried to finish the car, to take it to the pit lane, but it was not drivable anymore. So at the end of the straight, I put it on the side, and they towed me in. And it's end of story. It's too much damage.
The joy of endurance racing for spectators is there's no such thing as a sure win. That's a pain for the teams, and in the A2 class, the 168 Clio of Spirit Racing had a healthy lead, but now they've lost power and lost first position.
Yeah, we had an issue with the exhaust, so it was leaking, but now in a split second the battery was dead, so we need to search the problem to charge the battery. Yeah, we tried to fix it, but yeah, this is really shit, because we were leading the race with a lot of laps in front, and yeah, this is terrible. They did it already, but there is something in the wire, or the fuse, we repaired it already. The relay, we repaired it already, so it must be somewhere in the cable, so yeah, we need to check it.
Drama and a stalled Modena car.
Earlier in the night we had a suspension failure, one of the wishbones broke. I'm not 100% sure, but it seems like this is the same thing. I was coming onto T10 braking area, I stepped on the brake, I heard a big bang, and the car kind of shuddered. I made the turn, accelerated, and it kind of ground to a halt. And it looks like the suspension has collapsed, so bad luck for us.
Creventic, who organised the 24-hour Touring Car Endurance Series powered by Hankook, as well as the sister championships, have always had the philosophy of having enjoyable and safe racing. Helping achieve this is the adoption of Code 60, an alternative to dealing with incidents with the traditional safety cars or even a race stoppage. But as we can see here, Code 60 is the ideal way to recover vehicles safely and quickly get back to green flag racing. This Code 60 came at an ideal time, right in the fuel window for the NM Racing Ginetta. Less than ideal though for race leaders Blake and Molen Racing.
The last Code 60 was very bad for us, because the Ginetta could new benzene on a cheap way.
But still, the 100 team are happy with their current position.
Now first of the class and second overall. This was fantastic. We had a fantastic 24 hours, no problem. And a fantastic team, good car, good drivers. So
The 303 Red Camel Seat is in the gravel after being hit by one of their colleagues. The marshals pull the Seat back to the tarmac and it heads straight to the pit lane. It was in 6th position.
We would have been 5th or 6th right now, and now we are on P8. So it's not that big of a difference. The most unfortunate is that we had the accident earlier in the race that would have prevented both, and then we would have been fighting for the lead now.
The 216 is being worked on. This is the second time they've had to repair a broken wishbone.
Well, overnight it took about 40 minutes to fix the other one, but that was because initially we didn't know what was wrong, so it took a little bit longer. We're going to try. You know, we're here to finish the race at the very minimum, so we're going to try.
The 135 Duo Racing BMW is stopping on the runoff area. Smoke coming from the front left tyre.
Brake disc is broken.
What's happened?
I was in the last corner and start pushing brake and it's boom.
Is their lead in the Cup 1 class in jeopardy?
I don't know, actually. There are 2 cars in our class and we was the first place, but I don't know actually how we can fix the problem. Decided. I don't know.
The problem resolved quickly, the team holding its lead in the Cup 1 category. Second position in Cup 1, the 154 of QSR Racing School. Second position in the Cup 1 class is the 154 of QSR Racing School. Rodrigue Gion just set his personal fastest lap in the BMW. Perhaps now, though, driving beyond his personal limits as he has a spin. No damage, though, and he continues, having lost about 10 seconds. In the Speed Factory garage, their team manager looks back on their debut in Creventic competition.
I'm very happy. This is our first race in 24 hours with the Audi. So we will get some experience and I hope we will return with less technical problems in the next race.
109 battling with the 155 of Bas Koeten Racing, but 2 cars looking for the same part of the track results in a spin for the 109. Mirko van Oostrum continues. As we head towards 12 noon and the finishing flag, the teams are gathering near the pit wall.
It's looking good, yeah. Currently P1 in class. Yeah, we're just going to keep going. There is 2 cars are still running our class, and they're running quite well and quite quick. So Martin Byfoot's out at the moment. Just fingers crossed, another 15 minutes or so, we should be good. It's obviously a tough race, so everyone's having their own problems, and we've just been fortunate to keep ourselves out of any trouble and keep plugging away. And at the moment, it's looking very good, but there's still a little bit of time to go.
In the A2 category, the Core Oyster team are looking to take the class win. Karel Krieger is very happy that he travelled to Barcelona.
A very nice experience for me. I did not drive for a long time, and this is my first 20-hour race. It's incredible. It's incredible, really. I will be back again, sure.
1,440 racing minutes are complete, as is the final lap. And it's the Ginetta of NM Racing who wins the Hankook 24 Hours of Barcelona. A fantastic race with all the elements that a great event should have. The very happy series organiser agrees.
This is a fantastic race. Look at the podium, 2 classes in the top 3. They had to battle to the last lap. It's incredible. This is what's racing all about. Look at the crowd, look at the people. I think the people are enjoying. Of course, next year we will be back here and to the fantastic circuit of Barcelona. Thank you very much.
2 of the podium positions are for local teams, Team Monlau being one of them.
Yeah, it's really happy. That was what we expected. We want to be in the podium, so the goal is achieved.
Second overall, the Dutch entry of Tim Blekemolen.
Well, it was a hell of a fight. Yeah, 1 hour to go, we were still in the same lap. Actually, till the finish, we were in the same lap with the leader. Oh, he won the TCR class and almost overall winner on only 1 minute. So yeah, it was exciting.
But what a debut for the new kids on the block, NM Racing.
No, amazing feeling. We like it a lot, the experience to come to 24 Hours Creventic. It's our first participation here. The youngest team of the grid, with drivers like him, Nikolai Dimitrev.
Oh, well.
Only the talent of them.
Yeah, well, we were pushing like a hell. I mean, we did not expect such a result, but the team did an incredible job. The car was incredible. And I mean, I have no words, I cannot believe it. First time racing 24 hours and such a result. And we are being the youngest team ever. We have a lot of pace and just everything, you know, to win this race. But it's unbelievable for me. It's unbelievable. The car was great. The mechanics did an amazing job, and I don't have any words for this. Nothing else.
The circuit director also clearly content.
Big competition till last minute, less than a minute difference between the first and second. Some people from Creventic told us about this is the most changed race. It means a lot of changes during the race.
So let's see where all of those lead changes got us to. The local NM Racing Ginetta team have won the Hankook 24 Hours of Barcelona and will take the Trofeo Fermín Vélez back down the coast to their Barcelona base. After 24 hours, their win was by just 44 seconds over Team Bleekemolen second. Third, the 107, another Barcelona-based team, Monlau Competition. Let's look at the class winners, and it's Dutch Team Bleekemolen in the 100 Seat who take the TCR class. The SP3 GT4 category had the most retirements, but that didn't stop NM Racing winning the class and overall. In Cup 1, QSR clawed back laps, but Duo BMW the deserved winner. In A3, a win for Synchro Motorsports Honda, and a steady climb back through the field brought the Core Oyster BMW number 71 to the top of the A2 class.
Thank you, and see you at Spa-Francorchamps.
What a fabulous Hankook 24 Hours of Barcelona. We'll be back here next year, but there's still one more round of the 24-hour Touring Car Series powered by Hankook for 2017, and that's the race in October at the circuit of Spa-Francorchamps. That's a really special event, as that weekend we'll also have races from the 24-hour Proto Series and the 24-hour GT Series, also organised by Creventic. For more information, go to www.24htceseries.com and join us in Belgium.